Hello and welcome back to Music Nuggets. Today's nugget is all about diminished triad pairs, and when I talk about diminished triad pairs, I'm not talking about pairs of diminished triads. What we're talking about is major or minor triads, in this case major, that are drawn from the diminished scale. So the musical example at the beginning there was a B flat blues, so we're using B flat half whole diminished scale, looking like this. So that was just played from there to there, and you'll notice that if you look carefully you can see a B flat major bar chord right here. So we have this inside it. So there's a major triad there. That's those three notes here. B flat major, and also if you look closely again you will see E major triad. So there's root, major third, fifth of an E major triad. So what we've got is these two chords. So really sort of, if you play it back and forward like that, it's a really sort of cinematic sound. It's been used by John Williams and lots of composers, but it has a really sort of sci-fi feel. But the way I was using this musically was not in that sort of context. You can of course use it that way, and you'll hear different ways to use it as soon as you start working this out. But basically, over a B flat 7 altered chord, you can alternate these two triads, so the B flat and the E major triads, to kind of make the whole altered sound, or really imply the tonality of the altered sound. So what we're looking at is if you take a B flat and find the triad from the highest place in the scale. So the first thing that makes sense is third, root, fifth. So like that. And then alternate to the nearest note of an E major triad. So then we've got, that would be fifth, third, root. So we've got, so we're going, then we're going root, fifth, third of the B flat major, then third, root, fifth of the E major, and then we're going fifth, third, root of the B flat, then we've got root, fifth, third of E flat, of E major, sorry, then carrying on down, third, root, fifth, and then fifth, third, root of E flat major, E major, sorry. So far we've built this picture up. Then I'm going to stray slightly out of the scale just because it makes more sense in terms of the fingering. So I'm going to go root, fifth, third here. The third's also there, but I'm going to play it here because it just makes more sense in terms of the travel of this pattern. So we've got hang on. So I'm going to go, and what I just played there was third, root, fifth of the E, so that was that sound, and then fifth, third, root of the B flat, and then you can carry that down a little bit further. You've got root, fifth, and then 2 frets down here you would have the third of the E major, so like that. So overall we built up this picture. Which is a pretty cool sound, and you could use that just as a compositional tool, just kind of statically like that. You could just alternate and play the appropriate arpeggio over each one. But what this is especially cool for is giving a composite sound of those two chords. So in this case, an altered dominant chord. So what I was doing in that blues there was I was kind of going. So to get from the 1 to the 4 chord, you can add extra tension with this altered dominant chord. And the reason that works is that's a semitone below the root of the 4 chord, that's a semitone below the 3rd of the 4 chord. So you've got that sort of effect happening. But also the reason I put an X here is that can easily be a flat 5 substitution. So it could go through like, and you'll notice that flat 5 is the E that we were using as the 2nd triad. So you're basically given a composite of this sound. There's the 5th of the E, it's the flat 9 of the B flat 7. The sharp 5 doesn't really come into it. And if you're not careful, sometimes in some cases that can clash with the diminished scale, but we're not actually using that note. Here's that sharp 5, this guy here, and here's normal 6th. But we are not actually using that note in either of the arpeggios. So there's one arpeggio, there's the other arpeggio. So it completely misses it out. So it means when it hits that chord, you can play that down to the 4th chord. And what I was doing with that blues there is I was playing it just in triplets just to make it as obvious as possible. And you can start from any B flat triad note and play it in triplets, and you will land, if it's a swung thing obviously, you will land a semitone away from a 4 chord, because if you think about it, the 4 chord is E flat and you will land on an E chord tone. So it's ideal, it's absolutely perfect. So it could be like, it could be that, but it could just as easily be, so there's the 3rd of the 4 chord. And you could keep going like that through every single triad. It could then just as easily be, there's the root of the 4 chord. And it works the same going up the way, obviously, if you play it in triplets. So like, and go from the next one. So that was from the root. If you go from the 3rd, then you get the same effect. You'll just land in a different place. So so that lands you on the root. If you go from the 5th, then it's going to land you on the 3rd. So it's kind of perfect for that little transition. You probably want to play about with your phrasing and change up the way that you're playing them, because otherwise it does just kind of sound like a bit of a classical exercise. So play about with the order that you play the notes in and stuff like that, and figure out little licks to suit you. Another thing that I did that's super easy and a cool way to travel from the 1 chord to the 4 chord is to play a triad from B flat, then take exactly the same triad shape and play it from the sharp 4 or the flat 5th, however you want to see it. So you're just sliding down a semitone from the note where you finished. So that was B flat triad, E major triad, B flat major triad, E major triad, and that's the 5th of the E flat, the 4 chord. So it's super nifty little trick that actually doesn't require too much brain work, and you can build different licks out of that. Another obvious use for it would be, instead of thinking of that as a 1 and a 4 chord, you could think of it as a 5-1. So like in a 2-5-1 in a jazz song or jazz chord progression. So you could do things like play through Dorian from the 2 chord, or any little lick. So and then over the 5 chord I just did the, and that's you landing on the 5th of the 1 chord. So super useful little thing. Another way to tackle that, if we take the other example, you could use that in a 2-5-1. So what would be a good way to land on that note? So like maybe. So just doing a little bit of a Dorian thing. That wasn't the greatest phrasing. Maybe like. So that was, and then, and that's you on an E flat. So it's really useful. I'm not going to go into it like too much more than that, because I'm still building licks out of it myself. But you can see that the potential that has. So yeah, that's all I have to show on that. Hopefully you enjoyed that and you got something out of it. If you liked what you saw, feel free to subscribe and hit the like button, and I will see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.